Welcome back to the Course Creation Incubator. I'm Gina Onativia, online course coach and consultant, marketing strategist, and pep talk guru. And I've created this podcast to help you get your course done, launched, and out to market so you can start welcoming in students and start changing the world. Yes, you and I are going for it. And speaking of changing the world, at least my world or my perspective, I was at an event once and seated next to PR and branding expert Julie Solomon. And we were having a roundtable discussion at the time, going around the horn, asking, what are you working on right now? And what are you struggling with a little bit so the group can help and jump in with some answers? It was pretty cool. And I was trying to figure out pricing for one of my group programs at the time, and I was struggling a little bit. And Julie turned to me and said, "Isn't this such a fun challenge?" And I looked at her like she was totally bananas. And I said to her, "I've never looked at pricing that way. I tend to get a little frustrated, to be honest." So when she said that, it turned my mind upside down and gave me a paradigm shift that maybe I should be looking at pricing as a fun challenge instead of a grind. So I want to start this episode by inviting you to open your mind and be open to this kind of paradigm shift as well. What if you thought about pricing your course or your workshop or whatever you're working on right now as something fun? Because when I look at other things as fun challenges, people think I'm bananas. Oh, I've got a whole course to outline. That's a fun challenge to me. I've got all these scripts to tackle and figure out the nuances and bring in the richness. That to me is a fun challenge. So let's make a deal, you and I. Let's look at pricing the same way with this new approach, thanks to Julie. Now that's first and foremost. What I want to talk to you today is why you're going to price your course the way you're going to price your course so you feel damn good about it. And for the rest of this episode, I'm going to give you 3 reasons. Well, first I'll give you 3 reasons why you're going to price what you're going to price. Just 3 to start. And then I'm going to give you some best practices to keep in mind when pricing your course. These are practices that I tell my students when we talk about pricing also, and I do a whole section on pricing and how to create an enticing offer as part of my 6-week accelerator. It's one of my favorite weeks because I'm really passionate about it. I feel like I have a really dialed in formula about how to figure out your specific package, your enticing offer. So I teach this process and my formula. We go through it together and make sure that it works for you because what do I always say? Every course creator is different. Course creation is not one size fits all. If you've been listening to me, you've heard me say this again and again. Also, what happens during this offer week is I have my good friend Megan O'Leary on. Now, Megan's been on the podcast. She's an incredible copywriter. She's written for Ryan Levesque, JJ Virgin, Bo Eason, Frank Kern. You name it, a big name, and Megan's probably written for them. You can check out her episode 25, where she drops some of her knowledge on how to write copy to really nurture your email list. And for the 6-week accelerator, Megan comes on and talks about how to create truly impactful sales pages without all the guessing and the stress. Like she really streamlines the process. It's one of my favorite weeks because we demystify an offer and we demystify the sales page. It really sets you up to win in terms of what to offer your student and how to package it up. So the 6-week accelerator is open right now. We're going to kick off so soon with some validation pre-work, and I would love for you to join me. It's your opportunity to work with me live in the moment, helping you through every phase of course creation, including your pricing. It's a custom approach. I'm working one-on-one with you within the context of a small group. CourseCreationBoutique.com/6 weeks. Sign up, check it out now. I would love to work with you. So let's get to those 3 reasons why I want you to go for it when you're pricing your course. And again, these are just 3 reasons. And truthfully, there's so many reasons why you should be charging what you're charging, but for the sake of time, I'm going with the 3. Number 1, you're worth it. All right, anyone else here listening and thinking about that L'Oreal commercial where they say, because you're worth it? Okay, I just took myself back. But if you could relate, please DM me. Now, I'm giving you permission to be great and to charge what you want to charge. My mentor, client, friend, and best-selling author, Bo Eason, has this incredible story about how his dad, when he was young, would rub his back. And he'd rub his brothers and sisters on their backs, and he would say, "You're the best out there, goddammit." and he would give them permission to be great every single day. He saw something in them, and now that's what Bo does for his own kids and other people that he works with. And I want to do that for you. And by the way, it really worked out for Bo and his brother, who both went to the NFL. I mean, pretty badass. I want to do this for you. I see greatness in you that maybe you can't even see in yourself. And I'm telling you, you're worth it. I had an accelerator student who successfully sold her first course, and then she rolled it into a membership, a recurring subscription, because that's what her students were asking for. So I love that. And they said, we don't want to let you go yet. I mean, how awesome is that, right? So she offered such a cheap price per month. We all kind of gasped when she told us as a group, as an accelerator group, because what she was offering was so much more than what she was charging. The value exceeded what she was pricing that membership at. And we told her, that's fine. You can charge that for the first month as kind of a trial membership. But after that, you're going to raise the price because she's worth it and you're worth it. And here's a sidebar to this, to number one, stop sabotaging yourself. And I'm as guilty as anyone else when it comes to self-sabotage. And that's really hard for me to admit. And I'm trying to be more vulnerable on these podcasts. I'm working on it. Okay. It's a journey. And I just hired a business coach this year for the last few months because I have been sabotaging myself sometimes with my own business. And as a New Yorker, I'm thinking, I don't sabotage myself. I do what I want. I get it done. And that's true and it's not true. It's a little bit of bullshit, actually. I sabotage myself as much as anyone else, but I'm working on it. If you find yourself in a bit of self-sabotage when it comes to pricing or anything with your course, saying, I'm not good enough or I can't do this, I've said it before, that's a bullshit story you tell yourself. Let's get past that, realize you're worth it, and it's time to start charging like you should be charging. All right, let's move on to number 2. You want your students to have skin in the game. This is a great reason why you're going to charge what you're going to charge. I get a lot of students who are saying, well, I'm going to offer my course for free at first to test it out and figure it out if people like it. Now, I'm not a big fan of the free beta because I have seen the free beta fail. And when I say free beta, you put out your course for a few weeks, you get founding members, and they don't pay you anything. Or you ask your friends to come in for free. But here's the problem, and this is why I think free betas fail. They don't have a stake in the game. They're not going to be as invested as if they had paid to get into your course or your workshop, whatever your service is. Think about discounting. I'm fine with that for your beta, for your founding members, but let's move away from the free thing, okay? I'm fine with comping certain students if you want to do scholarships or if you feel like there's a real need. But then I would build in some accountability there because if they're not paying for it, if they haven't invested money, how are they going to get across the finish line? So I would bake in some testimonials or there's some check-ins along the way that you have to do with these students. Maybe you do it with all your students. Because remember, if you want raving fan students, and we do, that's exactly what you want. You want raving fan students. They've got to make it to the finish line and they've got to be invested. By the way, check out episode 12 for more details on how to get these raving fan students beyond just making sure they're invested. I'll link to it in the show notes. So that's number 2. You want people to pay because you want them to have a stake in the game with you. You want them to get across the finish line. You're invested in them and working hard to give them a transformation, and you want them investing in you. So the third reason you're going to charge what you're going to charge is perceived value. There is a perception of your worth or your course's worth based on what you're charging. So if for some reason you are undercharging, they're going to think, well, maybe this class isn't offering as much as this competitor. Maybe it's not the depth that I'm looking for, or it's not going to get me the transformation. And I know that's not true, but I'm just saying people play these games in their minds, right? By discounting yourself to a certain point or really slashing your prices, you might be cutting yourself off at the knees in terms of the value. And I know the value is there. If you're listening to this podcast, you're determined to deliver. Those are just 3 reasons why you're going to charge what you're worth. And now let's talk about some of the best practices when it comes to pricing your course and packaging that up. And again, we go through all of this in the 6-week accelerator. In the accelerator, I break down, I guess you could say, my patented formula, and we workshop it as a group to help you figure out how to apply it to your own course. I'm not going to take you through that formula right now because it takes at least an hour plus, but these best practices will give you a really great jumping off point for you to figure out your pricing. Best practice number 1, I like to start with a lower price point and then build up from there. You want to validate and make sure that you can charge the price you're going to charge. So you're validating your course at the beginning of your journey to making sure you have a market. And then I also love this idea of validating a price point to make sure that people are happily going to pay what you want to charge. I'm great with offering them a discount, like half off, and then building up from there. So I've mentioned Paige Schulte on this podcast before, the incredible Paige. She created Master Your Marketing with Paige. She's the real estate agent who serves emerging real estate agents. She offered half off to her founding members and then slowly increased her price. I think she started around $247 because she knew, okay, the course is probably worth $497. So half of that would be about $247. And now I think her course is about $700 plus because she's launched it at least 4 times, increasing the price with every launch. Now, I love what Paige does here. She got validation with that first course launch, price validation, right? And course validation with her founding members and getting that feedback. She slowly increased the price because she knew she was worth it, and she augmented the program to add even more value. I'll tell you right now, that program that we started off with was worth $700. She knew it, I knew it, but we wanted to get that price validation and the community to buy in. And now she has amazing course ambassadors that talk up her course without her even prompting them. So I love this pricing strategy, and I always suggest this for my students and clients. Those who are really struggling to price out their courses, start lower, build from there. Best practice number 2, offer breaks in the price and discounts, but don't go overboard. So Paige, when we priced initially the course at $497, we thought half would be a great offer. So that's why we decided, and that's where we landed on $247. So I had a consultant come up to me, this was a few months ago, and I was talking to her about a course that was $1797. And she said, well, if you really want to sell it like hotcakes, you can offer it as a fast action price of $697. Well, that's over half off. Like, that to me was going overboard. And I said, the course is worth $1797. Like, that's how I've typically marketed it. So I wouldn't go as low as $697. So offer the discounts, but don't go overboard. Okay, another best practice, test out different offers. If for some reason your initial offer doesn't resonate or you don't get as many students as you like, test a different kind of offer. Test multiple offers. Test multiple tiers. You could offer different bonuses, maybe restructure the course, take some modules out, simplify the course. Don't be afraid to change it up. Here's another best practice. Start with a starter course, with a smaller course, or a focus course. It's something that's more compact. It's not your signature course. It's not your masterpiece. You're getting your feet wet and building it from there. And if you start smaller, that really helps with pricing in terms of what your students are investing versus a signature where you're like, well, this is going to be worth $997 or $1297. And keep in mind, if this is your first course and you're just starting out, that might be a harder sell to sell a bigger ticket item, even like a $997 or a $1297. Then the 5th best practice is something I learned a long time ago from working with Pam Hendrickson, who worked with Tony Robbins for over 20 years. She's a mentor of mine, and I worked under her when I worked for Tony as well. And she would say to me, you've got to make sure that the invitation is a no-brainer. It has to feel like the offer is a no-brainer to you, that whatever you are inviting as the next step, you are thinking, oh, it'd be ridiculous if they didn't buy. Every offer I put out, I truly believe this is the best freaking package ever for this price. The value is off the charts. If you don't grab this, then you're absolutely not serious about wanting this change. I believe that every time I put out an offer. And if you don't believe that every time you put out an offer, maybe it's a bit of sabotage, or maybe it's not the right offer or package. Either of these cases, let's work on that. Let's get past that. So really think about that for you. You need to have that benchmark. Is it absolutely bananas if people don't take it? As we wrap up, I want you to think about those best practices. And remember that pricing your course can be a fun challenge, not something to pull your hair out. And look, if you want more help and you're thinking, Gina, I want to offer this, but my competition is already offering X. What can I really charge for my course? I can walk you through it all. I can help you charge what you're worth as part of my 6-week accelerator. If you want help with building out your offer or getting feedback on your outlines or helping you with the richness of your scripts or maybe even working through your recordings, I bring on experts, my friends from Infrastructure Productions, on how to film your lessons the right way. In the 6-week accelerator, you'll hear from these experts, and then here's the nice personal touch. You'll send us, say, a pic of your lighting and background, and we'll give you feedback. Or you'll send me your course outline, and I'll give you feedback on your questions in the moment. So it's not just best practices, it's best practices in action for you. It's such a custom, intimate process that I love, and people get so much out of it because it's not only a streamlined way to do course creation, it's your way to do course creation. You're getting feedback in the moment. I would love for you to join me. Check out coursecreationboutique.com/6weeks. I would love for you to join me. Check out coursecreationboutique.com/6weeks. Until next week, go create, be you and be brilliant, and get it done.